The Institute on Disability and Public Policy for the ASEAN region academically prepares transformative disability policy leaders and serves as a collaborative think tank on disability policy for the ASEAN region through an unparalleled network of 19 leading universities and 4 outreach partners with long-term support from the Nippon Foundation. Hosted from 8 to 22 August by University of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, the 2014 IDPP annual meeting was the 4th annual gathering of the IDPP network and the first major meeting for the IDPP held in Malaysia, the 2015 chair of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The 2014 annual meeting was the largest annual meeting to date with over 80 participants from across the IDPP network of 23 institutions in 9 of 10 ASEAN countries and around the world. Participants included IDPP Advisory Board and Executive Committee members, faculty, incoming IDPP fellows, and capacity building participants, alumni, invited guests, and staff. In addition to the 4th annual IDPP Advisory Board meeting and 2-week residency period for incoming IDPP students, the 2014 annual meeting was particularly unique for the series of innovative elements that were introduced for the first time. These new events included the inaugural IDPP Accessible Cyber Teaching Training Workshop, Effective Storytelling Workshop, and Multi-Stakeholder Roundtable on Inclusive Education Policy, co-sponsored by the Nippon Foundation, Microsoft Corporation, and the Global Initiative for Inclusive Information and Communication Technologies. The remainder of the 2-week period featured expert lectures by renowned IDPP faculty and disability policy experts, as well as site visits to Putrajaya, Cyberjaya, leading disabled persons organization, and private sector corporations. Open to all annual meeting participants, these academic preparation activities were critical components of the IDPP residency. The 4th annual IDPP Advisory Board meeting assembled world-class leaders in education and disability policy to discuss IDPP progress and future strategic direction. Composed of the IDPP Advisory Board, Executive Committee, and invited guests, the Advisory Board meeting focused on the IDPP's highest priorities for the year, the creation of Disability and Public Policy Thematic Network within the ASEAN University Network, called AUNDPP Net, and the establishment of concrete collaboration with regional master's degree programs in public policy. At the most recent ASEAN University Network Board of Trustees meeting in June 2014, the IDPP for the ASEAN Region Network garnered approval to move forward with the creation of AUNDPP Net. IDPP and all of its partners are now working toward the creation of this 9th thematic network within the ASEAN University Network that will allow a formal mechanism by which all 13 AUN members and non-AUN members in the IDPP network can actively engage in disability and public policy-focused collaboration. A robust discussion around collaborative master's degree programs at the intersection of disability and public policy was also central at the meeting. IDPP is now working with partners across Malaysia, Philippines, Brunei, Indonesia, and others on the implementation of master's degree programs in the ASEAN region on public policy with a focus on disability policy. These efforts will allow IDPP Fellows a range of innovative program choices, including face-to-face, blended, and virtual master's degree programs across the region. The inaugural IDPP University partner to advance this goal within the region is University of Malaya, whose face-to-face Master of Public Policy program within the university's International Institute for Public Policy and Management, or INPUMA, welcomed 5 IDPP Fellows and 1 capacity building participant into this highly reputable residential program. Within this existing 42 credit-hour program, the IDPP worked with to identify areas in which disability policy-focused content could be inserted and taught by IDPP and INPUMA faculty. The day-long advisory board meeting also featured a special lunchtime keynote address by Dr. Yutaka Osugi, Associate Professor at Tsukuba University of Technology in Japan. A specialist in sign linguistic and deaf studies, Dr. Osugi shared his most recent research on the compilation of Japanese sign language corpus that includes sign language lexical items from 49 prefectures of Japan using maps and movies. Malaysia's Deputy Minister of Education, Datuk Mariap, offered an opening address to over 50 representatives from government, private sector, academia, and civil society at Multi-Stakeholder Roundtable on Inclusive Education Policy, co-hosted by IDPP and University of Malaya and co-sponsored by the Nippon Foundation, Microsoft Corporation, and G3 ICT. The full-day roundtable also featured special guests including Senator Batmawati Krishnan of the Upper House of Parliament of Malaysia, a number of Malaysian Ministry of Education representatives, ASEAN regional governmental organizations, and DPO leaders. With Malaysia's role as the chair of ASEAN beginning in January 2015, the roundtable offered an exceptional opportunity to contribute to the development of regional and global strategies for inclusive education and discuss the critical role that accessible information and communication technologies can play in enhancing the inclusive education policy environment in Malaysia and across ASEAN. 5 presentations set the context for 2 major plenary discussions on the national mandate for inclusive education in ASEAN and policy objective and national implementation for inclusive education. Ambassador Louis Gallegos, chairman of G3 ICT and current senior scholar of the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, outlined the G3 ICT UNESCO model policy for inclusive ICTs in education for persons with disabilities. Dr. Zahar Mansor, National Technology Officer at Microsoft Malaysia, spoke on inclusive education and accessible ICTs. Dr. M.N.G. Mani, Secretary General of the International Council for Education of People with Visual Impairment, shared the ICEVI Global Campaign of Education for All Children with Visual Impairment. Dr. James De Caro, Professor and Dean Emeritus of National Technical Institute for the Deaf at Rochester Institute of Technology, discussed inclusive higher education for deaf and hard of hearing students in ASEAN. And Dr. Rohana Binti Jani, Associate Professor and Principal of the 7th Residential College at University of Malaya, spoke on inclusive higher education in Malaysia, students' awareness and attitudes. A press conference with key subject matter experts was held during the event, which garnered tremendous media attention on the critical issue by major publications, including a feature story in the Sunday edition education section of The Star, a radio interview by BFM 89.9, an article in the Daily Express Malaysia.